Namaste, goddesses and gods. This is yours truly, Apostle King Priest Woodard, bringing you greetings from the Progressive King Priest Consciousness Learning Center here in Pampa, Texas, where our philosophy is the science of the mind is the salvation of the soul. Now, this is Science of the Mind lecture series 2, but please be mindful to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you can receive notifications when we are on a game. Before we go into the second series lecture, I would like to recap with 5 bullet points from series lecture number 1, the spiritual science of the ancient Egyptian African spiritual system. Bullet point number 1. We established that our ancient Egyptian African ancestors were the OG, the original gods of the universe. And we as their predecessors, we as their legacy, we as their ancestral line are the re-emerging gods of the universe. I decree and I declare to you that more people on this planet are becoming aware and more conscious of their inner nature, their inner self, their higher self, their God self. Bullet point number 2. We established that the grand united field, the quantum field, the 0 point field, the womb of the universe is the precipice, the foundation that undergirds everything that we see and perceive around us and about us as the physical universe. It is the foundation, the 0 point field, the black hole. We are talking about melanin, dimethyltryptamine, the chemical that's produced in the brain, in the pineal, and is filtered through the pineal gland, that is the cause of our pigmentation from dark to light. Bullet point number 3. We established the human constitution as the hue man. The hue, the pigmentation, coloration from dark to lighter. Hue man, man, the mind of the universal thinking mind. Being is the vortex of energy, the spirit within the context of that biology that we call and know as the sacred body temple. Bullet point number 4. We established that the mind, the universal conscious mind, is all, the whole universe, including the microcosm and the macrocosm. You and I are mental creations. We are the creations of the all. Bullet point number 5. The all, this universal conscious mind, intelligent living mind, is an infinite, intelligent, living substance that vibrates according to its thoughts, never rests, always moving. Its thoughts create an electromagnetic field. Are you listening? A field of energy that attracts the same likeness of its thoughts. Now we're going to go into the second series lecture. entitled The Crown Creation of an Intentional Creator. My goddesses and gods, we are not an afterthought. We are the crown creation of an intentional creator. Whether you call it God or whether you call it the universal conscious mind, it is undeniable, undefinable, and absolute, but can be thought of as a universal conscious mind. Our ancestors, contrary to the cultural narrative, did not worship a litany of gods as in religion. But our ancestors practiced theurgy, the third principle of the wisdom of the universe. They practiced the spiritual science of our African culture. You must understand that every living organism must be in symbiosis with its environment. The second principle of the universal law is the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. We as a human verse must interact with the universe. Are you listening? There must be a correlation between each field of energy in order for there to be a reaction and an action. Now, the science, African spiritual science, the science of the mind, science is the study of the structure, the foundation, the framework, and behavior of the natural world. Now, the natural world is not the physical world that we see and perceive as reality, but the natural world is the invisible world that we cannot see, that we know to be as primordial nature, mother nature, the mother womb, the mothership. The primordial nature are the invisible things that we cannot see and perceive with the five sense mechanism, but can know it by the knowledge, by the interface with the womb of the universe. Or yes, we interface with a great power today. You've got to understand that you are somebody today. You are more than you can even imagine. Now, let me give you some biblical truth about the invisible things, the natural world, the invisible realm of possibilities where everything is happening at the same time. It only changes when it enters into the three-dimensional field, realm of illusion. Now, in the Bible, there are two significant and exclusive scriptures I'd like to point out about the invisible things of the natural world. Are you listening? In Romans chapter 1, the alleged Apostle Paul recorded this quote. Romans 1:20. Since the creation of the universe, the 0 point field, the invisible nature and attributes and the eternal power and divinity have been made intelligible and clearly discernible, and through the things that have been made. Everything that you see in this physical universe of perception was not made by the visibility that you're looking at. Are you following me? Verse number 2, the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, validates this point. The worlds were framed and put in order and equipped for their intellectual purpose, so that what we see was not made of things that are visible. My beloveds, there is a realm that you know nothing about, except you access it through the mind gate, the very powerful center, the CEO of the body, the chief executive officer of the human constitution. Doesn't matter how much you read and how much you study and how much research you do, the mind is transcendental. It goes beyond what you can see, hear, taste, touch, and see. Now, these facts begs the question then, what are the invisible things? You talked about it in series 1. Now you're talking about it in series 2. What are the invisible things? I tell you that our ancestors were the great thinkers, first great thinkers on the planet. Because of their interface with the universe, with the cosmos, they understood and they retrieved data from the invisible world. They understood the first key. They understood the first principle to the three-part wisdom of the universe. They understood astrology, the first key. It's where modern science gets the word astronomy, or the science of astronomy. It came from our people. Are you listening? They understood that the solar deities, the invisible things, the entities, neutrons, protons, electrons, quarks, cells, nucleuses. These are the invisible things that are intelligence within themselves. Cells have the intellect and the knowledge to come together and separate to create the drama we call life. Are you listening to me? All of the world's sciences, the modern sciences, came from ancient Kemet. The second principle, the second key to the wisdom of the universe, alchemy. Al, the prefix, means from. Kim means black. From the black lands, where we get the modern concept of pharmaceuticals and pharmacies and pharmacology. Your marvelous mind is a pharmaceutical industry all by itself. Every thought that you think produces a chemical. Dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin. Are you listening to me? You are not the afterthought. You are the crown creation of an intentional creator. Just 2 days ago, in the plain wave news release, Monday, December 14th, 2020, Mara Johnson released an article in the news. She wrote how the universe forges elements into formation. Are you listening to me? She wrote about how elements coming together and colliding, having copulation, if you please. How they have the intelligence from the 0-point field, the field of united energy, the quantum field. The quintessence, the fifth element, replete with data and information with which we interface. In the King James Bible, Jesus retorted to the Pharisees, the Jews, he said, "Is it not written in your law that I said that ye are gods to whom information is coming from above? And the scriptures cannot be broken. I guarantee you, declare to you, and decree to you today that we are the emerging gods of this universe." In point of fact, Revelations chapter 5, verse 10 says, "And he hath made us kings and priests." You wonder why I talk about kings and priests. It's a royal order in the spiritual realm. You ought to read Genesis chapter 14, where Melchizedek met the alleged Abraham and ordained him into the ancient Egyptian African priesthood. The king-priest order is a chain of command in the spiritual realm, if you please. And the verse continues, "And he hath made us kings and priests unto our God, unto the universal conscious mind, and we shall reign. We shall reign, we shall rule, we shall take authority in the earth." Are you listening to me? We're divine creation by an intentional creator. Now, Mara Johnson wrote in the news article, she said that the neuron stars, are you listening to me? The elements, the stars created by the elements. The stars, she wrote, collided in the depths of space. Listen at the movement of the elements above. Genesis says, "I put lights in the sky for seasons and times." She said, two neurons colliding in the depths of the space, generating gravitational waves, electromagnetic current, through which we receive data from above. Just like we're using the internet today. Me lecturing to you and you listening to me, electromagnetic wave coming from above. This is why our ancient tribe, the Dogons, without any technological instruments, understood the Sirius star. And modern science is just now catching up. This is why we have Alexa now and Siri's. Our people were thinking way before any other folk were on this planet. Oh, listen to me, this is the science of the mind. This is the study of the structure of reality, the facts. Not theory, but facts. Facts silence argument. Are you listening to me? She finished writing that two neutron stars collided in the depths of space, generating gravitational waves, producing elements, including gold. If you listen to me, you're gaining more information than you've ever known. I'm asking the question, where did we come from? Why are we here? And where do we go when we leave? If you're listening to me, you're learning the science of the mind, which is the preservation of your very soul. In later lectures, we're going to get into the concept of the topic of the soul. We've been misguided, miseducated, misinformed about the idea of the soul. But I digress. Let me get back on track. Carl Sagan, an American astronomer, wrote, referring to the originality of all the elements I just talked about. He wrote of their origin, he said, calcium in our bones, that preserves our bones and makes them strong, calcium. Are you listening to me? And he said the iron in our blood. Now, the blood is very vital. The Bible says, from one man's blood, all nations have been made to dwell on the planet of this earth. Through one man's blood. The first man, female and male, that inhabits this planet are the progenitors, are the parentage of all civilizations through one blood. The blood in the Old Testament is the life force. Are you listening to me? He went on to say, all elements are forged into the breath of the dying stars. What is he saying? Before there can be life, there must be death. Many times we suffer as human beings because we're trying to hold on to something. We're trying to hold on to something. We won't let go. We're trying to hold on to something that is designed to leave us. It's only temporary. Then we suffer because we try to separate things that are decreed and declared to be together. This, my friends, is the science of the mind. And if you learn it, it will preserve your soul. Are you listening? Now, everything, the universe, which is the macrocosm, the grand field of energy, as I stated in lecture number 1, is but 9.99999% empty space, but is held together by a vortex of energy, power, omnipotence, omniscient power, omnipresent power, holds this thing together. What you're looking at exteriorly is but illusion. In time, it will disintegrate. In time, it will die. Something will be born in its place. It will grow up. It will die. Nothing is certain in this realm but change. They say in Texas, if you don't like the weather, just wait a moment. It will change. This is the science of the mind. I always use the symbol of a checkerboard or a chessboard, because it recognizes, it represents the playing field of reality. There is no such thing as absolute in this realm. Black and white squares are the playing field. It's what you've got to work with. It's the science of the mind. In everything, there is duality. The checkerboard represents, the chessboard represents duality. Male and female, black and white, up and down, in and out, inflow and outflow. It's the playing field. It's what we've got to work with. It's the science of the mind. As you understand this, you are on your way to mastery. Everything that exists came into existence through the effects of elements. Now, in physics, in chemistry, there is a table of elements called the periodic table of elements. And there are 118 elements. Do the research. Look up the periodic table of elements. Sulfur, ammonia, hydrogen, oxygen. In my living room, I have a table, a center table that is two-fold round. It depicts the upper universe and the lower universe, and I have on that table symbolism of the earth, wind, fire, and water, the four essential elements for all creation. Are you listening to me? And all of these elements, all 118, have feminine and masculine aspects. Now, in the etheric realm, in the 0-point field, there is no masculinity, there is no gender. Gender only comes into play when we come down here. Are you listening to me? But we cannot discard the femininity and the masculinity of the natural world. The femininity and the masculinity is the God concept. It is the God complex. Are you listening to me? And we cannot talk about the God without the goddess, if you please. Now, in the next lecture, Science of the Mind, Lecture 3, we're going to talk about the birth of the goddess. Understand that we, in this social construct, are in a matrix. Our forefathers, when they created what we call the United States of America, they made it a patriarchal society. This was never the Creator's will. James Brown, in his 1966 single, tried to tell us it's a man's world. But he said it would be nothing without a woman or a girl. The universe is a maternal, a matriarchal. The 0-point womb, the 0-point field is a womb. The natural matrix that forms everything that we see, that we perceive as a material world. Now, I would that you go back over these videos and meditate on them, think on them, internalize them, and I guarantee you, you will be introduced to your God self, your higher self, your higher consciousness. And in the third Science of the Mind lecture, we're going to talk about the feminine principle, the evolution of the goddess, without which nothing in this world would be understood. Again, as I close, we are not the afterthought, but we are the crown creation of an intentional creator. Again, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you may receive notifications of every new lecture. Thank you again for tuning in. This is the Apostle King Priest. Namaste, meaning you in your divinity and I in mine. We are one. Namaste.